welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We are so excited today to have one of our favorite Hallmark writers with us. Today, we have Nina Weinman here for her 7th interview. She was our first interview. Now she's one of only 2 to have 7. So you and Paul are going to fight it out.
Listen, we're very close, so it's fine.
Yeah,
I'll fight him to the death. We'll get one of those rings, like 2 men enter, 1 man leaves, and whoever survives gets to be the 8th.
I mean, technically, you have done 2 of our watch-alongs. So if we add that in, then you are, because he's only done 1 of the watch-alongs. So if we count that,
Pie Wars, and what was the other one?
Yeah, you did.
Destination Wedding. Did we do Destination Wedding?
Yes, Destination Wedding. Yeah, those 2. Yeah. And we'll have to have you on for one of your Christmas movies one of these days, because that would be fun. Yeah. But yeah, if people don't know, our watch-alongs is where we have a talent like Nina, and we, for our patrons, as a perk, you get to hear all the best behind-the-scenes details, and we get to watch the movie together. So all that information will be in the description. Check it out. It's really fun to be a patron. But we appreciate all of your support of the podcast, and it's kind of crazy because I just feel like we have so much contact that we haven't actually done an interview with you since September 2020.
Oh, we did. So we did do a COVID interview, after COVID hit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've had so many movies since then. September 2020. I think last year, 2020 only had 1 movie air, which was Never Kiss a Man in a Christmas Sweater. And then this year I have 6.
Yeah. It's been busy.
It's
very
crazy.
Busy.
No, 5.
Yeah.
5.
If at first I was thinking, what are we going to talk about? And then I'm looking over the IMDb and I'm like, oh, we got tons to talk about.
What are you going to talk about? She's so boring.
No. But how have you been? How has your 2021 been? What has this whole crazy experience been like for you?
I mean, it's funny because I know that was really hard for a lot of people. There were a lot of industry shut down, and for me, it was actually, I've never been busier. It was really crazy because once everything shut down production wise, development just ramped back up. So I had 3 movies air in the first quarter of the year. And then I have 2 coming up this Christmas. So, I mean, I was a little bit of a crazy person actually, because for a while my kids were home and doing school from my dining room table, and I'm writing 1,000 movies. I was just literally like, this was my life.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
I'm not complaining.
Turning into crazy hermit lady. I mean, I already was a hermit lady to a certain extent, and then 2020 just amplified that.
I get it. We were, now finally my kids are getting vaccinated next week. So we're like, oh, thank God. But hopefully some semblance of normal will finally get to go back east for Christmas this year, which we hadn't been able to do. And I just didn't want to put them on a plane until I knew it was safe. And also I don't want to bring anything there. I don't want to get COVID on a plane and bring it to them. But I feel like we're sort of starting to come out the other side now, I hope.
Yeah.
Now that the kids are going to be able to be vaccinated.
Yeah, I've been able to travel a lot. It's easier for me just being single. There's less kind of risk and everything like that. But that has been a great kind of blessing. And I mean, I almost think, did I overdo it? Did I travel too much? But it was just like, is that kind of thing where it's like, you haven't been able to do it. And so it's like, you got to make up for lost time kind of a thing.
Yeah, we did driving trips. We did a trip to San Diego for a long weekend. We went to Palm Springs and my family lives in Arizona. So we all met in Palm Springs and rented a big house. And before the vaccine, we just all got tested. And then we got together so that my parents at least could see their grandkids, because they hadn't seen their grandkids in months. And so we were able to do that. And my dad turned to 80. So we were able to all get together for his 80th birthday and celebrate.
I think we all needed that connection, that it had just been, I think the roughest part of the whole experience was just missing that time with family and friends. And
that was hard. But that at least, is under control now that we're able to see them again.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't complain. It's,
Yeah.
I've been on the other side of that fence where there's no work, and I certainly appreciate too much work a lot more than the alternative. But
Right.
it gets a little bit crazy, and you have to figure out how to manage your time when we're all together 24/7.
You feel like the quarantine / pandemic experience kind of changed your writing in any kind of meaningful way?
I think that in a lot of ways, because I really overdid it and kind of took on too much,
Mhm.
I think the one thing that it did do was I realized that I don't have to say yes to everything,
Mm.
and that I am being a little choosier of what I take on, in that I want things that really excite me. Because if I'm taking something on and it doesn't move the needle for me, then I don't feel like I'm giving it my best self. I want it to be something that feels fresh and exciting. And that's the good thing. I just met with a couple of people recently from Hallmark, and they really want fresh and different and new and exciting going forward, because they have a new head of programming now.
Mhm.
And she's come in and set the new mandate. And I'm excited and encouraged about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, so last year, Never Kissed a Man in a Christmas Sweater, that
Mhm.
was kind of different, I think, from other, Hallmark Christmas movies. The fact that she was divorced,
Yeah.
a mother, the whole premise was kind of bonkers and weird, like not weird, but kind of
Taking
crazy.
a stranger into
Yeah.
your house. It had to be a guest house. I mean, he can't be staying in her actual house.
Right.
That's not
Well, and
safe.
he gets knocked unconscious with Terry and everything. That was funny. How did you feel about how that turned out, that movie?
Oh, I think that, well, first of all, that was my fourth movie with Niall Mater. We've done 4 movies together now.
Nice.
And I just was joking with him that I basically just like write everything, assuming he's going to be in it. And then I'll find out later if that's true. But he's a delight. And Ashley Williams, I had never worked with her before. And what a treat. I mean, she is just, that was my first movie post-COVID. So there were a lot of protocols in place. Obviously, I couldn't go up there. I couldn't be, involved in on set, but she would call me, text me funny pictures, and she is lovely. And if you get lucky enough to have Ashley Williams say your words, that is just such a win. She's a delight. I couldn't have been more thrilled.
Yeah. We interviewed her before the movie and she was hilarious. I thoroughly enjoyed her. Yeah.
I loved
So
her. I would love
yeah.
to work with her again.
Mhm.
She's a doll, and she's just so good. And
Yeah.
she's one of those actresses that, because she's always got this smile, when you watch her, you find yourself just kind of like a dodo, just sitting there like, I have this big smile on my face watching dailies. And it's just really, she's really, really fun to watch and to work with.
What do you think about this whole 2-parter that they're doing, the sister swaps?
I'm excited to see how they executed that. And that was written by Zach Hogg, who I adore. And so I always want to support, my Hallmark writer friends too, and support their movies. But I'm really excited to see how they executed that.
Yeah. Would that be something that you think would be fun to do like a 2-part?
Yeah. Anything that is different and turns the formula on its ear a little bit, that is exciting to me. I just got a rewrite that Hallmark brought to me, and the executive that called me, Aisha Francis, she's like, I'm not going to tell you anything. Just read the script and then call me. And I was reading it and I gasped, because I was like, oh, and then I texted her. I said, I did not see that coming. And I was like, I'm in. Like, from that, it's very different. And just the vibe of it and everything. I was like, and it's these very new writers. They've never written really anything before. And it's one of those things where you go, they've got the goods. They just don't have the experience to really execute it quite yet for somebody with such a specific criteria that they want you to meet. So they brought me on to rewrite it. And I was like, oh, this I'm excited about. Like this one, it moved the needle for me.
Yeah.
And I just rewrote a Netflix movie that is, I just got some notes, so I have to address those notes, but it's a Black princess movie.
Oh.
And it was really fun to write. They brought me that, and the producers brought me that, and that was a really fun one. So hopefully Netflix will be happy with what I've done and pick that one up, but it's not Christmas.
Oh, okay. That sounds interesting. Definitely. Yeah. I've seen some definite changes already this year, and in the Christmas movies. So far, I feel like they've been very strong. We've only had 2 weeks, but I've watched all of them, and like some of them are stronger than others, but I'd rewatch all of them. Like I don't think any of them are terrible.
I have not seen even like my good friends movies yet, because my house is under construction and literally just got my TV hooked back up today. So it recorded, but I haven't, it's recorded them, but on the encore performances, but I haven't had a chance to watch yet. I am going to, and then mine airs this weekend.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. I'm very excited for it. But The Christmas Promise, that writing was so good.
Which one is that? The Christmas Promise is who's in that one?
It's got Tori DeVito.
Okay. And, that was an HMM, right?
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I have that one. I have them all on my DVR because I like to.
I'll definitely be curious what you think, because I thought the writing was excellent in it. So you had playing Cupid, one of my favorites of the year.
Oh, good.
I really enjoyed it.
Right.
And I got to interview David Weaver, the director.
Yes, he's lovely. Yeah, I've done 2 with him now.
Yeah, he was one of my favorite director interviews. It was really fun. And I liked this one because I just felt like they had a good chemistry, good banter. You did a good job with that. And I was curious about the whole lip syncing scene, where they're singing to the mountain. Was that the song that you hoped would
that was
the
song I put in the original draft, and every single notes meeting I waited for them to say, we can't have that song, we can't have that song, we can't have that song. And then we're in prep and the song's still in there, and I'm doing what's called we get what's called a clearance report right before you go into production, and that is names. Like if a name doesn't clear, like let's say my character's name is Rachel Wagner and that's in Seattle, there has to be, I think it's either 0 Rachel Wagners in Seattle or more than 3 in order for the name to clear. So, you go through this whole clearance report, or you go, oh, it's, called Wonderland Magazine. And they go, oh, there's a Wonderland Magazine already exists. Or like Breakup Boot Camp. We couldn't call the movie Breakup Boot Camp because there's some lady in New Jersey who has a breakup boot camp and she trademarked it. So that's why it had to be called Don't Go Breaking My Heart. At the end of the day, we had to change that. So anyway, we get this clearance report. And I go through the clearance report and I change, all right, this name is not clear, so I have to change it from Brian to Brandon. Brandon is clear, whatever. So I'm going through and it says, please make sure that the music, you clear the song. So I'm going, nobody told me to take it out as I'm addressing this clearance report. And then Alex Koskis, the producer, goes, we got the song. I was like, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
It was just such a perfect scene and they had so much fun doing it. And even just watching the dailies, I was like, yay. And I texted them and I texted Nick and I was like, oh, that was perfection. He said, even with the freakishly giant produce, I said, perfection. So yeah. I was all prepared to like, what's the song going to be in the back of my mind when they tell me I can't have this song.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's such a rom-com staple, sort of the lip syncing, musical number kind of a thing. Whether it's in Stepmom, where they do that same song in Stepmom.
They did that in Stepmom?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And or like in My Best Friend's Wedding.
Yes.
Where they say a little prayer for you. There's just a bunch, and I thought that was really fun. I thought they had really nice chemistry. I had never seen uh the lead man before in anything, so that was fun to get to introduce to a new
He
actor.
was like, they had just killed him off of The Good Doctor, and that was when people learned he was going to be in this movie. I mean, I guess that was like super emotional for a lot of people that they killed him off that show, because he was like a favorite. And then when he was in this, everybody was like, oh, he's back on something good, because he's really, really popular and lovely man.
Yeah, he was good, and I liked Laura a lot, and they had good chemistry.
Delightful too.
Yeah, I liked the little girl. She was super
and that was
cute.
her first role ever.
Oh, really?
Mia Corona is her name, and that was her first role ever, and she was so excited, and she was just a natural. She's just going to get better and better as she keeps going. She's a delight too.
And that one was based on a book, right?
Yeah, but it was a Scholastic book, so they did a deal with Scholastic to do like 3 or 4 different books. One of them was that called You're Baking Me Crazy. And these books all had like in the book, Mia's character was the lead in the book playing Cupid. The kid is the lead. And then the parents are secondary. So they did a deal with Scholastic to make this have sort of like a dual entry with the kids and the parents being you're holding equal weight, but so that kids would be interested in this movie too, because it's got that element to it and it follows these teenagers, and then, or I think she's actually preteen, but then you have also the love story. So we refocused it to make it a little more her story. And in the book, her name's Karen. And I was like, Karens are getting a bad rap lately, so we're going to change her name to Carrie. But we had to switch it around to make the adults the main character instead of the kids.
Yeah,
and it worked really well, but we still wanted the daughter to play a really big part.
Yeah, I don't think that they should have billed it as the Jane Austen's Emma.
That was not, I mean, or the book is billed as that, but it was maybe a little bit of an overshoot. We didn't quite.
I was just like, that's the one part of it. I was like, pretend not, because it's still one of my favorites. I really enjoyed it, but it really is not Emma at all. Yeah, I mean, aside from having a matchmaker, that's the only similarity.
Right. Yeah. Right. And that's how the book was billed. So I think they just, they had this pre-sold title because Scholastic books are so popular, but well,
I tell you, that's my opinion. Yeah. One, I think that you ought to check out a series that I think would make for a great similar deal is the Comic-Con series by Ashley Poston. They're really fun. First one is called Geekerella, and she takes on these like kind of fairy tale premises in the world of a Comic-Con. And so like instead of it being a prince, it's like a movie star, right? And so she has one called Bookish and the Beast. She has one called Geekerella. She has one, they're really fun.
What is it called? I want to write this down. Well, you can text me later.
Yeah, I will. But I think they would make really fun Hallmark movies.
Yeah. Or Disney Channel.
Yeah. The Geekerella, The Princess and the Fangirl, Bookish and the Beast. She just writes really fun novels. And like I said, they're all kind of set in the world of this like Comic-Con type thing where the princes are like movie stars basically at Comic-Con. I love that. That's really fun. Yeah, you should check it out. And ho ho ho, we'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
I really did enjoy playing Cupid, and then Don't Go Breaking My Heart. The only thing about that movie is you said they changed the title, but then they didn't use the song.
I know. And that I guess was a really expensive song because I was like, oh, please use a song.
Because you're just kind of waiting the whole time, like waiting for the song, and it's not there. Like, why not just give it a different name? Because that's distracting if they don't use the song.
I know. I was disappointed because when they brought that to me, the producers had already sold it just on concept. And it literally was a paragraph that a guy joins this group.
Yeah.
You know, and then they brought it to me and I came up with the full story and I loved the title. I mean, they sold it on the title for sure. Breakup Boot Camp. That's why they wanted to do it. And then when it didn't clear and they offered this woman money, they were like, and I don't know what her boot camp is. I never looked it up as I was writing it, but it was like, this is nothing like I created this boot camp from scratch. Like this was not something that I think exists in the world. I don't know what hers is, but
yeah, I enjoyed it. It was definitely a little bit kind of darker than, I don't know if that's the right word to use, but it had like more loss and more kind of pain that they were dealing with than you might typically see in these movies. And I thought it did it well. And it felt like a real grown-up romance to me.
Yeah. It was a fun one. That was a fun one to write. It was a hard nut to crack because at first we were a little too it's a little too much like therapy. So what is this boot camp? And then we really stopped to figure out what is this boot camp? And then I was thinking, okay, let's do theme weeks and let's have every week have an activity to go with the theme. And then it sort of clicked into place. But at first it was talky to talk therapy. So we got through and then figured out, okay, this is what it needs to be. We want it to be active and interesting and visually.
That was pretty intense when she has to sort of approve the new relationship with her ex, that her ex has, and they have that whole dinner. That was good. It was well done. I like Natalia Ricci. She's so good.
Yeah, she's really good. She's really present, emotionally present. I really enjoyed watching her in the dailies and stuff. I was like, she's the real deal.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So we have coming up Mrs. Miracle Christmas. And
so Hallmark Movies and Mysteries.
Yes. So obviously this is an iconic kind of franchise for Hallmark. Doris Roberts, the Mrs. Miracle, Debbie May Comber. And so do you know kind of what was the catalyst for the idea of rebooting this?
So they had the rights to the new book and they wanted to do it. So they brought the book to me and asked if I wanted to adapt it. And I read the book and I said, yes, I would love to do this because again, this is another one that it's different. It's not a rom-com. There's no meet cute. This is a couple, they're already married from the very beginning and they're helping out with their grandmother and they hire a caregiver for the grandmother. And, I loved that about it, that it was just a sort of different way to tell. We do tell their love story throughout because there are certain struggles that they're going through. It's got some real issues and some real weight to it that, in the past, Hallmark was very much, everything had to be just kind of right here, no high highs, no low lows. Let's just keep it we're upset, but we're going to be fine. And they really let me dig in here. And I loved that because emotionally, these people are dealing with a lot. And here comes this is she an angel? Is she not an angel? I don't know. But she comes in and helps them to deal with all of the losses, different various losses that they're experiencing. And then I wanted to give, so one of the things that they said is, we want this to be a reboot. This is not a sequel, because Doris Roberts is an icon, and you can't just plug in new Mrs. Miracle here and replace Doris Roberts. It just, she is that Mrs. Miracle. So what we wanted to do was, this is sort of a different Mrs. Miracle. This is a new Mrs. Miracle. She's a little younger. She's a little brighter and cheerier. And Caroline Rhea is fantastic. And incidentally, Caroline told me that Doris Roberts was her dear friend, and she is so honored that she gets to carry the mantle for her. And there were just like a lot of little like angelic things that would happen, during filming, and just sort of synergy moments and things that we all were just kind of like, oh, this one is special. There's something special around this movie. So we made her Gloria Merkel. So she's a different Mrs. Miracle. I gave her a little bit of a backstory that I didn't want to go back and watch the original Mrs. Miracle, because this is a different Mrs. Miracle. This is a reboot. And I didn't want us to be living in the shadow of Doris Roberts. So we had to make this a new character, a new Mrs. Miracle.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, if you had kind of used the book more for inspiration or used the original films more.
It follows the book, Debbie Maycomer's book, very closely. Except for the book is very obvious. Like she is an angel, and in heaven, this is what it looks like. And yes, I know your dead brother, and all this stuff, that we really wanted to take a step back from that and make it a little more, wait a minute, is she? No, that's crazy. Like a little more like that, where all these magic things happen. And to me, when I read the book, I was like, she's Mary Poppins. Like I wanted to make her a little more Mary Poppins-ish.
Yeah, I can see that.
And Caroline is amazing. And I have to say, Steve Lund and Caitlin Doubleday are like, the emotions that these two, it is so, there's scenes that I just watched the dailies and I was like, I know what happens. I know that I was there when they filmed this scene, and I'm crying. There's so many moments like that where I'm just like, wow, these two are.
I think that'll be really good. I love Steve Lund. He is so dreamy, in my opinion.
He is a delight. He's a really sweet guy and a really great actor. I got to go up for this one. So I got to go on set, and that was so nice. And our director, Ruby Monroe, this was her first movie that she's ever directed. She is the real deal. She's amazing. And you're going to see her name a lot. I absolutely love her. And then Terry Ingram, who's directed 406,000 Hallmark things, was our producer. So he was our on-set producer, and because it's Ruby's first project, he like kind of shadowed her, but he didn't even really need to. She was like, I got this. It was awesome. A very positive, beautiful set.
Did you get like kind of a bit emotional being back on set after so long?
I didn't get emotional. I was just so happy. It was just like old times, except we were all wearing masks.
Right.
And this crew, we shot on Vancouver Island. So this crew, a lot of them were my friends that I know from Last Bridesmaid, from Love at First Dance, like the same DP, same first AD, like a lot of the same people. And that's really fun to see these people again.
Do you know how they ended up with Caroline Rhea as the choice? Because like you said, she's younger than Doris Roberts. And I know you aren't involved in the casting, but did you kind of know how they ended up with her?
You know what? I'm never privy to that stuff. I can always offer them suggestions that I don't know that they even read my emails when I go all over the years, not for this one, because they had a lot of ideas and they were like, I knew that they were going to go younger, but I didn't know what their list was. That's Penny Perry, who is the head of casting at Hallmark, and she's amazing and she's plugged in and she made Caroline happen. And she, to me, is such a perfect choice because she is kind of like a young Doris Roberts, but she's really a lot. Doris Roberts can be a little cantankerous in her delivery sometimes. She's a little more gruff. And Caroline is just really like just light and love and beauty in every line. And but to me, she just feels like, when they called and they said, we have our Mrs. Miracle, and they told me it was Caroline, I was like, of course, like that makes so much sense.
Yeah. I mean, especially because I feel like she's already kind of tied to a sort of magic fantasy kind of characters and series and everything.
She's very much like that in real life. She's very spiritual. She's very much into astrology and energy and that whole thing. So there wasn't a better choice. She's just so perfect for it.
Well, I'm definitely excited about it.
I'm really, really proud of it. It turned out so beautifully. I'm excited to see what people think. I think there are going to be those people out there who are like, I like Doris better. I mean, I think that we wanted to make it so that there's no comparison. They're two different characters. I don't know if people what they'll be expecting, but I'm proud of it. And I think it's a really beautiful movie.
I mean, I feel like it's been over a decade since we had the last Mrs. Miracle. So I feel like it's not like they're rushing into a reboot here. And then like 2010 was such a different era for Hallmark. I mean, it's practically a different network at this point compared to then. Countdown to Christmas hadn't even begun to get really started at that point. So I don't know. I feel like
I'm so proud of it. And I hope people can view it sort of as a standalone instead of a continuation of those, because it's not. It is its own movie, and we intend to make more. We would like to. I hope Hallmark lets us.
It could be the new Christmas and Evergreen.
I want to keep doing it. And there's like one little element of that, I don't want to say too much about it, but one little element of this movie where it has to do with the car Mrs. Miracle drives.
Oh.
And I decided that in every subsequent movie, the car that she drives is going to directly tie into whoever it is she's trying to help. And you'll see what that means.
That's cute.
But like things like that I want to continue as I continue the story.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hearty, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Still, do you sometimes struggle to come up with new ways to do Christmas as you're writing these movies?
I mean, always. Yeah.
Watching The Christmas Promise the other day, they had a girls spa night, Christmas themed, with like eggnog facial peels and stuff.
That's so cute.
I'm like, that's such a creative idea.
I love that. And I actually want to do that. I don't want to write it. I want to experience it.
Yeah. They had like cranberry facials and stuff. I'm like, that is very creative. I agree. Girls night. That would be fun.
Girls night, eggnog.
Yeah. So you have another one, Christmas in Tahoe, coming out, and I think, is that a rewrite?
So no, I didn't
okay.
write the last draft. So I've been on this project for 2 years. There was a lot of like rights things. It took a long time for this deal to close. So for 2 years, I have been coming up with the story, and we were waiting, and then COVID hit. And then when they were ready, I couldn't start. So I wrote the first 2 drafts. And then when it came about time to greenlight the movie, that was the exact same time that Mrs. Miracle was getting greenlit. And I couldn't do it all at once.
Yeah.
So there are some other writers that wrote the production draft of this one.
Because I noticed it had a lot of writers on the IMDb.
Yeah, there's 3. There's this couple that wrote the production draft, and then I wrote the first drafts, and the story. I came up with the story, and I wrote the first drafts, but I couldn't do it all at once. And that was one of the things where it was like, I just had to learn how to say no, because everything happened all at once over the last year and a half. And so these writers I watched the cut the other day, and it's really lovely. And Pat Monaghan is a great actor, and it's delightful.
And it's like a country music kind of themed movie. Is that right? Oh, okay.
No, it's not country music. They're a rock band. It's a rock band. And Laura Osnes' character used to manage them, and then they dumped her for a big shot manager. And she stayed at her family's Lake Tahoe resort as a talent booker. And then her act for Christmas falls out, and she needs their help because they're big stars now. They went off of big stars. And Pat Monaghan is the manager of the hotel. So he's like her confidant and her uncle. He's like an uncle to her. So he sings in the movie, but he does not, he's not part of the band, the original band that she used to manage. It's really cute. It's super cute. She's lovely. Kyle Selig is adorable. He's a Broadway guy. So you know how I feel about my Broadway people.
Yes.
I'm like all the Broadway all the time. It turned out super cute.
Is Pat Monaghan, is he the co-lead?
He's probably number 3. I would say number 3 on the call sheet.
And then Kyle Selig is who's the
romantic love.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not Pat's not the romantic love interest. He's her confidant. And
I got it.
Who works at the hotel, who's like an uncle to her. So it's not a romantic thing.
Yeah, and it has Rebecca Staub, who I love.
I know, I love her so much. She texted me like right after. She's like, "I'm playing Dorothy," who's named after my sister's mother-in-law. I was like, "Oh, there's no one better."
Yeah, one of my favorite interviews I've ever done was with her. She was such a good storyteller. Like, because some people, and bless their hearts for even coming on the podcast, but you have to kind of pull a little bit more to get the story out of them, you know. But then other people, you just ask a question and then they go. And she was one of those people. She had so many great stories. She's
such a lovely person.
Yeah,
she's amazing. And so I've done a couple with her now too. And she's been over here. We had a screening party here, and she's been to my house. And she's a delight. I adore her.
Yeah, I loved her too. And George Lopez, that's fun.
Yeah.
Hallmark movie.
Which I didn't even know, because I was on Mrs. Miracle while this was all happening. I didn't even know about George Lopez. I didn't know what was going on. I had to let that movie go and let them do it. And I focused on Mrs. Miracle. And then I found out about that when I was watching the cut. I was like, he's fun in it. Yeah. It's really fun. He plays this, kind of like security guard who's got eyes on everybody. It's
nice. Yeah. Welcome to Hallmark. That's very exciting.
Yeah. And I wasn't sure at first. I was like, okay, that's awesome. Yeah, he's a good name.
And I have to say, for the most part, I've really enjoyed Laura Osnes's movies for Hallmark that she's done. Even this last one, I did not think that Razer Glass to Love looked very good from the trailers and the insane poster, but I ended up really liking it. I thought it was good, and so that definitely I think I gave this one an orange in our preview that we did, which is the second level of excitement.
So like going back to, you know, because again, I'm such a Broadway nerd, going back to that reality show she was on, which was the
Right. Yeah.
Grease. And then I saw it on Broadway when it was like in previews, I saw it. And she's just such a find, you know, to find her from this reality show and to put her on Broadway. She's just a very rare talent.
When she was in Julie's movie last year in the
Royal
Holiday,
yeah,
and that was so good.
Spade, who again, Broadway.
Yeah.
Give me Broadway.
I hope you get to do a Broadway trip maybe in 2022. I got to go out this last October, and that was so fun.
No, I really want to I really want to go actually at Christmas when we go back east. I really want to go try New York and see. My kids want to see the six.
Oh yeah.
So I'm hoping that we can do it. We'll see. We haven't been back east in 2 years, so we have a lot of people we need to see.
Yeah, I really want to get back there to see the new Music Man when it
Sutton Foster and Hugh Jackman. I almost said Hugh Grant. No, not Hugh Grant. Hugh Jackman.
I can't wait for that. I think that I mean, I love the Music Man. It's my Les Mis is my favorite. Music Man is my like second favorite.
Which one is your favorite?
Les Mis.
Les Mis, yeah. Such a good show.
Yeah, it's so good. And it was the first outside of The Little Mermaid, Les Mis was the first music I ever really fell in love with. Yeah. I was kind of obsessed with it in high school.
So such a good score. I love Les Mis.
Yeah. And it was like one of those foundation, pieces for me. And then my sister was in The Music Man in she got to play Marion in her school. And so I think it adds a different layer, especially because of that. But I just love the whole story.
Sutton Foster and Hugh Jackman. Yeah. It's like, I mean, that's a gold
dream cast.
I feel like that's a gold mine for them. Gold mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So that would be fun. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. It's always a delight.
On again, and for always supporting my career. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so much fun. And if people want to follow you on social media, all that fun stuff, how can they do that?
So I think I'm on Instagram as Nina Weinman Swift, which is my husband, my married name. And I'm NIBWE on Twitter.
Great. We'll have that in the description. Y'all can make sure to follow Nina, and we'll have you back on soon so that you can be back as number one.
Hopefully there will be more to talk about soon.
Yes. And you can follow me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That helps us so much during this holiday season for people to find the podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have the Patreon group where you can participate in watch-alongs with great people like Nina. So please check that out. And we have the merch store where we have holiday themed merch designs available. So check that out. We'd really appreciate it. There's a sale going on right now. So perfect time to get all your holiday gifts right now. And thanks so much, Nina. Really appreciate it. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everyone. Bye. Merry Christmas.